Welcome to my channel. Value $quarter. The 1981 D United States 1 dime is a fascinating piece of American coinage that reflects both the nation's history and its minting practices during the late 20th century. This coin was produced at the Denver Mint, which is indicated by the small D mint mark found on the obverse front of the coin just above the date. Like all modern U.S. dimes, the 1981 D dime features the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, who served as the 32nd president and is honored on the coin largely because of his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, as well as his association with the March of Dimes, a campaign originally created to combat polio. The obverse includes the inscriptions Liberty along the left side, In God We Trust to the lower left of Roosevelt's profile, and the year 1981 along the bottom. The reverse back of the coin displays a torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch, representing peace, and an oak branch, representing strength and independence. Surrounding these symbols are the inscriptions United States of America along the top edge and 1 dime at the bottom, while the Latin motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, is inscribed to the right of the torch, emphasizing the unity of the states. The 1981 D dime is part of the Roosevelt dime series, which began in 1946 shortly after Roosevelt's death, replacing the earlier Mercury dime design. These coins are composed of a clad mixture of copper and nickel, rather than silver, as the United States removed silver from circulating dimes in 1965 due to rising metal costs. Specifically, the coin consists of a pure copper core sandwiched between outer layers of copper-nickel alloy, giving it durability for everyday circulation. The coin has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters, a weight of 2.268 grams, and a reeded edge, which means it has small grooves around its circumference. In 1981, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of these dimes, making them quite common in circulated condition today. However, collectors still pay attention to their quality, with uncirculated or high-grade examples, especially those with strong strikes and minimal wear, being more desirable. An interesting historical detail about the early 1980s is that the United States Mint did not issue official mint sets for collectors in 1982 and 1983, but 1981 was still part of the regular annual production, meaning many coins from this year were preserved in official sets. Still, finding a 1981 D dime in pristine condition can be challenging because many were heavily used in circulation. Some collectors look for varieties or errors, such as weak strikes, die cracks, or off-center mint marks, although no extremely rare or famous error varieties are widely associated with this specific issue. In terms of value, most circulated 1981 D dimes are worth only their face value of 10 cents, but uncirculated examples can be worth slightly more, and coins graded at the highest levels by professional grading services may command premium prices. Overall, the 1981 D Roosevelt dime is a modest yet meaningful artifact of U.S. history, combining symbolic imagery, patriotic inscriptions like Liberty, In God We Trust, and E pluribus unum, and the legacy of one of America's most influential presidents. While it may not be rare, it serves as a small but enduring reminder of the country's values, economic evolution, and minting traditions. The next top. The 1988 P United States dime is a small but historically rich coin officially known as the Roosevelt dime, part of a long-running series first introduced in 1946 to honor Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States of America. The P mint mark on a 1988 dime indicates that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most important minting facilities in the country. Interestingly, although Philadelphia had been producing coins since the late 18th century, it did not begin routinely adding a P mint mark to dimes until 1980, making the presence of the P on your 1988 coin part of a relatively modern minting practice. The coin itself is composed of a copper core sandwiched between layers of nickel, a clad composition introduced in 1965 to replace earlier silver dimes, giving it a standard weight of 2.268 grams and a diameter of 17.91 millimeters with a reeded edge. On the obverse front, you will see the left-facing portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinek, whose initials JS appear subtly near the truncation of the neck. Surrounding this portrait are the inscriptions Liberty to the left, the motto In God We Trust to the lower left, and the year 1988 to the right, with the small p mint mark typically located just above the date. The phrase "In God We Trust" has been a standard motto on U.S. coinage since the 19th century and reflects a historical blending of national identity and religious expression. Formally adopted as the national motto in 1956 during the Cold War era as a symbolic contrast to atheistic ideologies. On the reverse back of the coin, the design centers on a torch, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch representing peace, and an oak branch representing strength and independence. This composition is encircled by the inscriptions "United States of America" along the top edge and "one dime" at the bottom, with the Latin motto "E pluribus unum," meaning "out of many one," positioned to the right of the torch. "E pluribus unum" has deep historical roots dating back to the founding of the United States and reflects the union of the original 13 colonies into a single nation, making it one of the most enduring mottos in American symbolism. The 1988 P-dime was produced in very large numbers. Hundreds of millions were minted for circulation, so it is generally considered a common coin in numismatic terms, typically carrying face value unless it is in uncirculated, mint state, condition or exhibits rare minting errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, or unusual planchet defects. Despite its commonality, the coin still holds educational and collectible value, especially for beginner coin collectors who appreciate assembling date and mint mark sets of Roosevelt dimes. From a broader historical perspective, coins like the 1988 P-dime serve as miniature artifacts that reflect economic conditions, technological advancements in minting, and evolving artistic standards in U.S. currency. By the late 1980s, the minting process had become highly automated and precise, ensuring consistency across millions of coins while maintaining intricate details in the design. Additionally, the continued use of Roosevelt's image underscores his lasting legacy, particularly his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, as well as his association with the March of Dimes campaign, which helped combat polio, a disease that personally affected him. In summary, the 1988 P-dime is not rare, but is a well-crafted, symbolically rich piece of American coinage that embodies national mottos like "In God We Trust" and "E pluribus unum," honors a significant historical figure, and represents the modern era of U.S. mint production, making it a meaningful item both for everyday use and for collectors interested in the cultural and historical narrative of U.S. coins. The next top. The 1999 United States 1 dime is a small but historically rich coin that reflects both modern minting practices and long-standing American symbolism. This coin was struck at the United States Mint facility in Philadelphia, which is why it carries the P mint mark, something that did not appear on Philadelphia dimes until the 1980s. The dime itself belongs to the long-running Roosevelt dime series, first issued in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt shortly after his death. Roosevelt's portrait appears on the obverse front of the coin, designed by sculptor John R. Sinek, whose initials JS are subtly included near the truncation of Roosevelt's neck. The 1999 dime continues this design tradition unchanged, showing Roosevelt facing left, with the inscriptions "Liberty" along the left side and the motto, "In God We Trust" positioned just to the right of his portrait. This motto has appeared on U.S. coins since the 19th century and reflects a national expression of faith and historical identity. On the reverse back of the coin, the design features a central torch flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength, respectively. Surrounding this imagery are the inscriptions "United States of America" and "1 dime," along with the Latin phrase "E pluribus unum," meaning "out of many one," which expresses the unity of the states forming the nation. The torch design also originates from Sinek and has remained consistent across decades of Roosevelt dimes. In terms of composition, the 1999 P-dime is made of a clad metal structure, a pure copper core sandwiched between two outer layers of a copper-nickel alloy, giving it a silvery appearance while keeping production costs lower than earlier silver coins. It weighs approximately 2.268 grams and measures 17.91 millimeters in diameter, with a reeded edge, the small grooves around the coin's circumference, that historically helped prevent silver shaving when coins contained precious metal. By 1999, however, dimes had not contained silver for decades, as the U.S. transitioned away from silver coinage in 1965 due to rising metal prices. The year 1999 itself is notable in U.S. coinage history because it marked the beginning of the 50-state quarters program, which brought renewed public interest in coin collecting, although this program applied to quarters rather than dimes. Nevertheless, increased engagement in numismatics often led collectors to revisit other denominations, including Roosevelt dimes like the 1999 P. In terms of mintage, hundreds of millions of 1999 P dimes were produced, making it a common coin in circulation rather than a rare collectible. However, its value can increase slightly depending on condition, particularly for coins graded in mint state, uncirculated condition, or those with exceptional strike quality or luster. Coins that have been professionally graded by organizations like the Professional Coin Grading Service or the Numismatic Guarantee Company may command higher prices among collectors. Error coins, such as those with off-center strikes, doubled dies, or missing mint marks, can also be significantly more valuable, though such errors are relatively rare. Despite its commonality, the 1999 P dime remains a useful educational example of late 20th century U.S. coinage, illustrating how tradition, symbolism, and modern minting technology coexist in everyday currency. Its inscriptions, Liberty, In God We Trust, and E Pluribus Unum, represent enduring ideals of American identity, while its design pays tribute to a president associated with resilience during times of economic hardship and global conflict. Even though most 1999 P dimes are worth only their face value of 10 cents, they hold historical and cultural significance as part of the broader narrative of American coinage and national symbolism. The next top. The United States of America 1 dime, 2004 P, is a small but historically rich coin that reflects both modern minting practices and long-standing American symbolism. This coin was produced at the United States Mint, specifically at its Philadelphia facility, which is indicated by the P mint mark found on the coin. The dime design used in 2004 is part of the long-running Roosevelt dime series, first issued in 1946 to honor Franklin D. Roosevelt, who led the country through the Great Depression and much of World War II. Roosevelt was also closely associated with the fight against polio through the March of Dimes, which is one of the reasons his portrait was chosen for the dime. The obverse front of the 2004 dime features a left-facing profile of Roosevelt, along with the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the year 2004. The phrase In God We Trust is the official motto of the United States, adopted during the 19th century and widely used on currency since the American Civil War era, reflecting the nation's historical inclination toward religious faith in public expressions. On the reverse back of the coin, you will find a torch at the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch representing peace and an oak branch representing strength and independence. Surrounding these images are the inscriptions United States of America, 1 dime, and E Pluribus Unum, a Latin phrase meaning out of many one, which emphasizes unity among the states and has been a traditional motto since the early days of the nation following the American Revolution. The coin's composition is not pure silver. Instead, like all dimes minted after 1965, it is made from a clad composition consisting of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, with a pure copper core sandwiched between nickel layers. This change was introduced due to rising silver prices during the mid-20th century. The 2004 P dime has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters, a thickness of about 1.35 millimeters, and weighs approximately 2.268 grams. Its edge is reeded, meaning it has small grooves around its circumference, a feature originally designed to prevent the shaving of precious metals from coins. In terms of mintage, hundreds of millions of 2004 P dimes were produced, making it a common circulation coin rather than a rare collectible, although coins in uncirculated or proof condition may carry slightly higher value for collectors. Overall, the 2004 P Roosevelt dime is a continuation of a design that has remained largely unchanged for decades, representing stability in American coinage while preserving key national symbols and mottos such as liberty, unity, and trust in God, all captured within a small but meaningful piece of everyday currency. The next top. The United States 1 dime coin, 2014 P, is a modern circulation coin of the United States, officially valued at 10 cents, and it continues a long-standing design tradition that honors one of the most influential leaders in American history, Franklin D. Roosevelt. First introduced in 1946 shortly after Roosevelt's death, the Roosevelt dime remains one of the most recognizable coins in U.S. currency. The 2014 P version was struck at the United States Mint facility in Philadelphia, which is indicated by the small P mint mark located just above the date on the obverse front of the coin. This mint mark signifies its origin and distinguishes it from coins produced at other mint locations, such as Denver or San Francisco. The obverse of the coin features a left-facing portrait of Roosevelt, designed by Chief Engraver John R. Sinek, whose initials JS can be seen subtly inscribed near the neckline of the bust. Around the portrait appear key inscriptions that reflect American values and identity, including the word liberty along the left edge, the phrase "In God We Trust" positioned to the lower left of Roosevelt's chin, and the year 2014 on the lower right side. The phrase "In God We Trust" has appeared on U.S. coins since the 19th century and reflects the country's historical cultural emphasis on faith and national unity. Turning to the reverse back of the 2014 P dime, the design is equally symbolic and rich in meaning. At the center stands a vertical torch representing liberty and enlightenment, flanked by an olive branch on the left symbolizing peace, and an oak branch on the right representing strength and independence. These elements together convey a balance of ideals that the United States strives to uphold. Encircling these symbols are the inscriptions "United States of America" at the top and "1 dime" at the bottom, clearly stating the issuing country and denomination. To the right of the torch appears the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, which translates to "out of many one," signifying the unity of the states and the diverse people who form the nation. This motto has been a fundamental part of American identity since the country's founding era and appears on many official seals and coins. The edge of the dime is reeded, meaning it has a series of closely spaced grooves, originally designed as a security feature to prevent clipping of precious metal when coins were made from silver. In terms of composition, the 2014 P dime is not made of silver like older dimes minted before 1965. Instead, it consists of a clad composition of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, with a pure copper core sandwiched between two outer layers of copper-nickel alloy. This gives the coin its characteristic silver-like appearance while keeping production costs low. The coin has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters, a thickness of about 1.35 millimeters, and weighs approximately 2.268 grams. These specifications have remained consistent for decades, ensuring uniformity in vending machines, banking systems, and everyday transactions. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of these dimes in 2014, making them very common in circulation and generally not rare or highly valuable in typical circulated condition. However, uncirculated examples, or coins with exceptional mint luster, may hold slightly higher value to collectors, especially those assembling complete year-end mint collections of Roosevelt dimes. The choice of Roosevelt for the dime is historically significant because of his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, as well as his association with the March of Dimes campaign, which raised funds to combat polio, a disease from which he himself suffered. By placing his image on the dime, the nation commemorated both his presidency and his humanitarian impact. Over time, the Roosevelt dime has become not just a unit of currency, but also a small piece of historical tribute carried in everyday life. The consistent design since 1946 reflects stability in U.S. coinage, though minor adjustments have been made over the years to improve striking quality and detail. Collectors often examine coins like the 2014 P dime for specific characteristics such as strike quality, luster, and the presence of any mint errors, such as off-center strikes, doubled dies, or missing mint marks, which can increase a coin's value significantly. While the vast majority of 2014 P dimes are worth only their face value, the hobby of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, encourages enthusiasts to look more closely at even the most common coins for subtle variations and historical context. In conclusion, the United States 1 dime 2014 P coin represents a blend of artistry, symbolism, and practicality. Its inscriptions, Liberty, In God We Trust, and E pluribus unum, along with its imagery, encapsulate core American ideals, while its widespread circulation makes it an everyday object that quietly carries decades of history and national identity in the palm of one's hand.